The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities provides for the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and freedom for all PWDs without discrimination of any kind. Based on the 2010 census, about 1.5% of the Philippine population has disabilities. PWDs are among the groups that need utmost attention. Virtualahan, a social enterprise, trains persons with disabilities and matches them with work opportunities. The group was recently selected as one of the Asia-Pacific Future Makers 2017, a social innovation program based in Singapore which gives startups grants to further improve their advocacies. Joining us in our Rockville studio is the founder of Virtualahan, Ryan Gerasava. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, TJ. Mayong buntag.
All right, thanks for joining us this morning. Well, tell us the story behind Virtualahan and how you felt the need for this. First of all, when we talk about social enterprises, we talk about startups, more often than not, they try to solve a problem or address a current issue or situation. In terms of PWDs, what was the situation that you saw that they were in that you felt needed a boost?
Right. So, working in the hospital as a medical laboratory scientist, I have witnessed people losing job opportunities because of their medical condition and disability. And I also experienced firsthand how it is to be rejected from jobs because of your medical condition. So we thought, what can we actually do about them? And so we have taken advantage of the power of the internet and the growing outsourcing industry in the country to maximize employment opportunities for these people.
All right, and when you saw these cases in the hospital, like, I read your story about some people with hepatitis and AIDS and things like that. Why do some companies veer away? I mean, even if it's not, some may argue that it's not contagious and it shouldn't be an issue. Why do people and some employers veer away from hiring these kinds of people with this certain medical conditions or disabilities?
Right. So the misconception evolves around not getting enough information about a certain condition or disability. Hence, they consider it as a limiting factor. For example, 1 out of 7 Filipinos ages 20 to 49 years old are tested positive to hepatitis B. And in countries like the Philippines, it's part of the pre-employment procedure that you submit a medical certificate. And if they found out that you have an incurable medical condition, that is like a death sentence to your career. And what we found out is that these companies or like major employers just really needs like a framework, a tool, and a lot more education on how can they integrate people with disability in their workplace. And when I talk about people with disability, I'm referring to people who have a medical condition. It can be like an autoimmune, a congenital condition, people with mental health problems, and people like with physical disability. It can be like an inborn or like an acquired disability. You can be like a spinal cord injury survivor, a stroke survivor. And though they came from very diverse background, these people shares the common pain of the struggle to find gainful employment.
There you go. Well, let's talk about the work that you actually do. You've broken this down from training, employment, well-being, and even advocacy, and I like the way that goes in terms of giving back. But let's talk about first the training. As you said, with the way the employment scene is nowadays, with the BPOs and with internet connectivity making things easier to work from home, how do you do this training first and foremost when there are PWDs who apply for work and they say, I want to do work, this is what I can do? How do you train them and give them the skills they need before you offer them to the workplace?
Yeah. So we are using the Virtualahan Impact Formula. It is a very holistic approach where we screen and recruit scholars to undergo our 6 weeks digital skills and life skills training program. It's all done 100% online through our virtual classroom. And then successful graduates are then provided with 3 months of employment support. It's either we directly hire them or refer them to our outsourcing partners or help them in their online job applications. And in the process, we are also building a supporting community. Our scholars, our alumni, together with their families, also joins our life coaching program through our well-being session led by our in-house psychologists, where we empower these people to not just become productive, but active citizens as well. Teach them how can they embrace their disability, talk about empathy, providing them a safe space where they can build each other up, and ultimately turning them to become advocates of their own condition, to educate the public and tell people what they are actually capable of, to turn their disability into like a lifetime opportunity, to break the divide between abled individuals and people with disability, and creating like a stronger case towards diversity and inclusion.
Wonderful, very holistic indeed. Now, give us some stories, Ryan. Maybe you can share with us the first successful transition when you first got one of your first few enrollees in Virtualahan as a PWD, and how you approached your first client, if that's what you call it, in terms of a company who would employ this person. Mm-hmm. What was that process like, and how did you feel after you got that first successful, transition from discriminated PWD to a fully employed one?
Right. So I have a strong background volunteering for a lot of non-government organizations. So we've already have a network of people with disability and like organizations. So what we did is we partnered with associations of different disabled persons in Davao City. We've connected to the president, proposed to them what we plan to do and how can we empower these people. And then we onboarded like our first set of scholars to undergo the training. At that point, since we are a purely like bootstrap social enterprise and we're very new to the market as well, what we did is we went to like different online job platforms, Upwork, freelancer.com, onlinejobs.ph, and like find job opportunities that we can channel to our beneficiaries, and we evolved from there. We've onboarded outsourcing partners little by little that is now providing jobs to our beneficiaries.
And now, Ryan, you guys are raking in the awards. You're talking about from Globe, from Singtel in Singapore. Mm-hmm. How does this help legitimize what you do and getting their name out there? And then bigger brands, bigger companies, bigger names will say, hey, you guys have done an excellent job. You've been well vetted. How do you see this, making you leapfrog pretty much and growing in scale and helping more people get jobs into legitimate companies?
Right. It has two major benefits for us. Number one, internally, it provides like strong validation that what we're doing is really working, and getting validation from these people, getting criticism by joining like this competition helped us to shape the model and evolve more. Second, externally, our biggest strength right now is just getting the story out there to attract support, to attract more beneficiaries to join our program. And so publicity has helped us to attract organizations and to pitch to several partners. And most of our students actually found us through this medium as well. And it is helping us grow organically. And it has been like one of the biggest wins we've got so far.
Wonderful. Now, one of the things I wanted to pull out from your story as well, you've mentioned a lot of different conditions, a lot of people who have their disabilities, so to speak, and you did take note about drug addicts and how there is a challenge for them who, when they go through rehabilitation and they want to reintegrate back into society, some people, some sectors have given up hope on them, unfortunately, but there are people like you, obviously, who still see hope in drug addicts and rehabilitating them. What are your thoughts on this, and why did you want to include them as part of the quote-unquote PWDs you want to help reintegrate and give them training and jobs?
Right. So the model that we built is like highly lean and scalable that enable us to target any group at will or any geographic location. And what we see is like with the existing problems that we have in the Philippines with the drug situation, this model is totally applicable to people who wants to reintegrate back to the society. And we have, they suffer the same stigma and discrimination in the workplace. If you are labeled as a drug dependent or like who just, ex-convict, incarcerated. So what we wish to do is to use the same approach that we've used with people with disability to address the same issue, which is unemployment, and then integrate the whole holistic approach that we are currently doing to create the same positive impact and help themselves become better citizens.
And lastly, Ryan, you talk about advocacy when you encourage your, PWDs to not just train and get skills and work, but giving back to society by making more noise about their condition and the discrimination in the workplace. Talk about this and how this is an important part of what Virtualahan does.
Right. So our first advocacy campaign was during World AIDS Day on December 1st, back in 2015, where we did a social experiment. We have this misconception that HIV and AIDS can be transmitted through food, and we raised an awareness in the city hall in Davao City, where we have actors who distributed cupcakes for free, but telling people that they have HIV and AIDS. And with that, we've been published in several publications, and it creates a lot of awareness that, hey, it's 2017, 2015, but people still believe that HIV and AIDS can be transmitted through food. That needs to we need to break that. We are also raising awareness on responsible driving to help millennials, especially to examine their life choices by telling the story of our beneficiaries, how they have acquired a disability because of a wrong decision that they did. Our goal really is to create a more awareness towards these specific issues that will eventually influence the government, institutions, and the public in general on how can we integrate people with disability, how can we embrace them, and as well as how can we actually live in a society where no one is left behind.
Well, there you go. Very well said. And obviously, Orion, your enthusiasm, your passion is the fuel you've got to get this moving forward. We hope that you inspire more young people like you to do a lot of things to have a great impact in society. So thank you for joining us. Congratulations on winning all these awards, and we can't wait to see what's next for Virtualahan. Thanks, Ryan.
Daghang salamat, TJ.